Chippewa County Board of Commissioners to order. As always, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Egan, would you start us off?
I think I did you last time.
Yeah, you did, but I'll start it now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please take roll call attendance.
Commissioner Egan.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Martin.
Here.
Commissioner McLean.
Here.
And Chairman Shackleton.
Here, and we're all in attendance. Item 4 is additions, deletions, and agenda approval. And I think we have at least one addition.
I would like to add under new business item C, 10C, which would be the possibility of moving the finance committee meeting up one day.
Okay. Any other items anybody would like to suggest to add or delete? Do we have a motion?
Well,
We'll just take a motion on the whole deal with it.
Yeah, I'll move that we accept the agenda as provided with the amendment.
I'll second.
Supported by Commissioner Martin. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. We move to approval of the county board minutes. These are the regular board meeting minutes of September 14th on page 1 of your packet.
I'll move. Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Egan, supported by Commissioner Johnson, that the minutes be accepted. Is there discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. Move to correspondence received in the clerk's office on page 8. As always, a variety of correspondence.
I'd move that we acknowledge the correspondence received in the clerk's office and forward to the appropriate committee as necessary.
I'll support.
Motion made by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Egan, that correspondence be acknowledged and forwarded as appropriate. Is there discussion on the motion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. Move to public comments. This is the opportunity for anyone to speak during our public comment period. We would ask that you come up on the other, well, okay, the podium's not set up, so come up to one of the chairs, please. It could be any one of these 4 chairs in the front here, because then the microphones are on. Come on up. Make yourself comfortable. Not too comfortable.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. My name is Mark Miller. I'm a Regional Initiatives Deputy with the Department of Natural Resources. And I have some handouts, which I'll do here in a minute at the end of my talk. But we have some information to share with the commissioners and with the public on as part of our effort to hand out and make sure that we have a strong discussion and information that's flowing back and forth between the county and the state agency. We'd like to acknowledge that there's a strong relationship with our DNR staff here in the Sault Ste. Marie office, and we appreciate that. And I know I'm a new face, so I just want to briefly tell you what I do. As a Regional Initiatives Deputy, I'm working throughout the state on improving our relationship with the counties and townships to make sure that we have a good working relationship. If we're going to have regional prosperity, we need to be working hand in hand with our county partners. And I've been here just a short time. This is my 7th month on the job, but we're going out and working with them. And you have a fantastic person here in the UP. Stacy Hoy is a regional coordinator. She's willing and able to work with you on anything and everything. But if there's any questions, we certainly will be able to get you answers and make sure that we're working well with the locals. So that will be something we'll continue to do. What I'd like to also do is express that we would like to continue to partner with the county in any way, shape, or form. But we have grants that go out to counties and Natural Resources Trust Fund grants this county, over its history, has received just under $2 million. And we want to encourage you all to continue to work with us to try to get more of that money up here to the UP and to your county, so that you might be able to take advantage of those programs and utilize those resources. We also, if there's any question about any of those grants, please call Stacy Hoy and we'll be able to work through those issues within the process. On Drummond Island, over the last several years, as you likely know, we've had stakeholders and DNR staff working together for a plan on recreation and natural resources on the island. There is a draft that is on the website that is still available for public comment. Comments will be accepted through October 16th. They've also been discussed at the last two Natural Resources Commission meetings and will be up for approval at the November meeting of the NRC. And the local biologists here, Dave Jintoft and Sue St. Marie, will be able to answer any questions you might have if you have anything specific. I also wanted to apologize to commissioners. We had a number of meetings here in the area in Cedarville on October 8th. Despite our best efforts, we tried to public notice and get all that information out. The information may not have gotten to everybody, so if you missed a meeting, we apologize for that. We certainly want to improve on that for next time. Please know that we're here to be a resource here for you, for your local issues. I'll be here after the meeting to answer any questions that you or the public may have. And what I'll do now is I'll approach and hand out the information to you on grants and other information we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak under public comment? This will be your opportunity. I'll call for that. And last chance for public comment. Anybody like to speak? Okay, we'll declare public comment closed. Thank you, Mr. Miller, for the information, and I think at least one commissioner will probably want to sit and chat with you for a bit after. There you go.
That's what I'm here for.
Okay. Thank you very much. Don't suppose any of those recreation grants could go towards the courthouse. Okay, let's move to administrator's report. That is item 8 on page 9 of the agenda packet.
I'm sorry.
You'll see the various reports there in Department of Veterans Affairs, Animal Control, Public Defender, Sheriff's Department, and War Memorial. In addition, as of last Friday, the windows are now installed in the bell tower. They look very good, if I might say so. We also had our steps redone up there, so there's no danger to the employees anymore climbing up to the bell tower. We also kind of got thrown in a little bit of extra carpentry, some steps up to the one window that opens like a door, and a handrail that, if you've ever been up to the tax rolls, it's pretty wobbly. So all in all, we did a really good job. That was something that we decided to do at the last minute because Mr. Markson was already up there and it would have been cheaper than doing it last year. And that's my report, sir.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Martin, did you have something you wanted to?
Yeah, with Mr. Miller on these grants, because I was contacted by one of our people at Project Playground, and they've received some local monies to expand the William Lane Recreation Trail up behind the high school and middle school. Would there be something that we could write to piggyback onto that money and make that money grow so that we could do more phases? Because one of the things that we would like to do is put lighting up there. So on the cross-country ski trails, the kids can do the tubing hill and the snowboarding, and the parents can go and cross-country ski there so that the whole family can do something together. with warming shed and concessions and stuff like that. I think that would work very well. Would one of these grants that you're talking about work
Go ahead.
for something like that?
So, absolutely, and what we'll do is specifically get the scope of that work and go work with our grant staff to get you an answer for the county. I think that would be the most appropriate thing to do, so I'll make a note of that before we leave and try to get you an answer.
Okay, that'd be good. Thank you, sir.
And he will be here after the meeting too, if you have any other thoughts during the course of the meeting that you'd like to discuss with him. Again, thank you, Mr. Miller. We move to old business, item number 9, and we don't have anything scheduled under old business. So we'll move on to new business, starting with board, committee, agency, authority, vacancies, announcement. On page 22 of the agenda packet, you'll see that we have appointments coming up for the Chippewa County Building Authority, the Board of Health, EUP Regional Planning, Superior District Library, the Transportation Authority, the Upper Peninsula State Fair Authority, and War Memorial Hospital. What the county traditionally does is, at this point, authorize that they would be advertised, that people can submit applications of interest until November 4th. Those applications will be brought to the board at its next regular meeting, which will be November 9th. We would normally accept them at that meeting, and then at the following meeting in December, actually vote on the appointment to fill those positions. What we need to do today is to authorize that these positions be advertised and open for application.
I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Martin, that the board, committee, agency, and authority vacancies announcement proceed with advertising and acceptance of applications of interest. Is there any discussion on the motion? Commissioner McLean.
Okay, I want to point out to my fellow commissioners that UP Transportation Authority, there's a vacancy there. And also the War Memorial Hospital Board. And those were ones that some of the commissioners have expressed interest in. And I want to mention to you that you need to apply like a normal, regular person. It isn't just assumed because you're a commissioner that you're up for consideration. So I want to make sure that you get the appropriate paperwork in on time, because there has been some interest expressed in those. And
Okay.
any of the others that you're interested in, but
Right.
those in particular.
Okay. Again, we have a motion before us. Any other discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. We move to resolution 15-23. This is the apportionment of the 2015 millage. It's on page 24, and again, this may change before the end of the year based on the election, but we are following along in the procedure as we must. So we do need motion and the, I'm sorry? Go ahead.
I was trying to tell Connor, can you make that please resolution 1524, that's my mistake.
1524, okay,
Yes.
so we already have a 1523,
Correct,
and then that's what it will be, 1524.
thank
Thank you.
you.
I would move that we accept resolution 1524, appropriation of 2015 millages.
Support?
Motion made by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Johnson, that we approve the 2015 apportionment. Resolution 15-24, as is the case with all resolutions, it is a roll call vote. So the clerk, please take a roll call vote.
Commissioner Egan,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Martin,
Aye.
Commissioner McLean,
Yes,
and Chairman Shackleton.
Yes, and that resolution passes. We move to new business item C. This was added to the agenda at the beginning of the meeting, and that's to discuss rescheduling of the finance meeting for November. Who'd like to, Commissioner McLean?
the reason that I brought it up is that the Upper Peninsula Association of County Commissioners is meeting on the 5th and 6th of November, and we have a finance meeting scheduled for the afternoon of the 5th. The way the meetings usually work is that they convene on noon, would be at 12 o'clock on the 5th, proceed that afternoon, overnight, and then they meet until about noon on the 6th, which is Friday. And it's a format, and I know Commissioner Martin has been to the spring meetings, and he found them beneficial, and he's recommended them to the commissioners. So in order to facilitate that, I am asking that we move the finance meeting to the 4th, which is Wednesday, the day before, so everybody can get to the Escanaba or that meeting in that area.
I would strongly suggest my fellow commissioners go and push back on having that next meeting here, so all of us can go, and more of our community members can be present, and also bringing all the commissioners to Brimley or to the Sioux brings a lot of extra revenue for our hotels, for our restaurants, and places like that, and it's our turn. And I'll be honest with you, I got caught flat-footed. They decided, oh, let's just have it here, and it was our turn. It was supposed to be at Bay Mills. Is where it was supposed to be. This meeting's supposed to be at Bay Mills, and they just basically said, hey, let's have a motion to have it here again. And I didn't know any better. The Munising guy, the Elder County guy, came over and said, oh, you know, that was supposed to be yours at Bay Mills. I'm like, oh, really? So
New guy.
yeah, new guy, and they got me good. So live and learn. So see if you can get together with the Elder County people and other people in the East End, and see if we can get that over here on our end. One, it saves us expenses, and two, brings more revenue into our area. And those are two positives.
All right, anybody wanna make a motion on that?
So moved.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Johnson, supported by Commissioner Egan. Was that your support?
Yes.
Commissioner? That the November finance meeting be rescheduled to November 4th, 5:30 PM. Is there any further discussion on the motion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. We move to standing committee reports. Start with Building, Ground, Jail, Legislative, Natural Resources, and Information Tech. That is Commissioner Johnson.
September 23rd, 2015, we had a Building, Ground, Jail, Legislative, Natural Resources, and Information Technology Committee meeting. Called the meeting to order at 11:40. Members present was Rudy Johnson, Don McLean, and Connor Egan. Others present was Jim German, Dustin Cretin, Bob Markstrom, Jenny Pierce, Brian Barlett, John Zander. He was by phone. There were no additions or deletions. No public comment. We talked about renovation items, the courthouse maintenance and repair. Due to the high quotes, a number of items were discussed, including replacing the roof, tunnel improvements that would be guaranteed to work, the bell tower stairs, the ADA ramp and sidewalk, and the round windows on the 3rd floor. It was moved by Commissioner Egan, supported by Commissioner McLean, to put these projects on hold until 2016. In groupings of projects all together to be overseen by a general contractor, with funding coming out of the special maintenance fund with additional fund balance if needed. On a voice vote, the motion carried. County Building Jail repair was moved to finance.
Do we need to vote on that?
Oops, oh, no, we gotta vote. We gotta vote on that?
Yeah, we need to vote on that. So I would say, if you move, I'll support.
And I so move.
I'll support.
Okay, motion made and supported to put those projects together and bid them out next year. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I think it's important that we roll this all together and get an engineer's plan to look at this. That way we get some guarantees. You know, a lot of talk has been thrown around how to fix that tunnel. None of them are guaranteed ways to fix it. I think that we need to have some sort of guarantee if we're gonna put some money into this thing. And I think a big project like this should be overseen by, you know, one person or one group.
And my only comment is that all these projects need to be done, but I think next year when we proceed, we need to really look at it and consider the fact that we're talking about taking more money out of fund balance. And at that time, do we want to do all of them at that time, or based on the cost? But that's something we'll consider next year when we proceed with it. Any other discussion?
I think you've got a good point. We need to prioritize what's got to be done and what can we afford to do.
I would say there's the gotta do and there's the nice to do.
Yeah.
You don't always have the luxury for the nice to do, you know. But you, in any case, all in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Okay,
Commissioner
next
Johnson.
item was Coney Building Jail repair that was moved to finance. Information technology, the GIS parcel mapping was moved to finance. AS 400 was moved to finance. Still can, right, Kelly? Everything was moved. There was no general discussions. Committee and chairmans had nothing. It was moved by Commissioner McLean, seconded by Commissioner Egan to adjourn the meeting on a voice vote. The motion was carried. I declare the meeting adjourned at 12:50 p.m. I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Johnson, supported by Commissioner McLean, that the minutes of Building Grounds, Jail, Legislative, Natural Resources, and Information Technology Committee be accepted. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. Move to Personnel Committee, and that is on page 28. Was that an actual meeting, or what was this?
No.
This is just a job description.
Yes.
What do we need to do here? Just approve it? Is this something you're involved with, Commissioner Egan?
No, we did not have a meeting. This is Administrator German.
Administrator, I'm sorry, would you like to speak on this?
Yes, we only had one item for personnel this year, and the commission had already approved the job, and instead of paying $300 or $400 out of the taxpayers' money, I talked to Mr. Egan, and we just wanted to make it an action item for the commission to approve it.
That's fine. Anybody,
I'll move approval of the job description as
Okay.
presented.
I'll support.
motion made by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Egan, that the job description for the drug court position be approved as presented. Is there any discussion on that motion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. Finance, claims, and accounts. Commissioner Martin.
Regular meeting of the Chippewa County Board of Commissioners Finance, Claims, and Account Committee was held on Thursday, October 8th, 2015, Chippewa County Building, Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. Called the meeting to order at 5:30. Members present were myself, Commissioner Shackleton, Commissioner McLean, Commissioner Egan, and Commissioner Johnson. Others present, Jim German, Scott Brand, Kevin Kelchek, Robert Savoy, and Kelly Church. Moved by Commissioner Shackleton, supported by Commissioner Egan, to approve the agenda. On a voice vote, that carried. There was no public comment. The committee received the Treasury Investment Report, monthly travel report, and the Visa billing statement. Next, we had War Memorial Committee gave an amended and restated hospital facilities lease agreement. Long story short, War Memorial does and will always take care of or provide services to low-income, indigent, uninsured, underinsured patients. The change is to strengthen the obligation of hospital service. It was moved then by Commissioner Johnson, supported by Commissioner McLean, to approve the first addendum and restated hospital lease agreement by and between Chippewa County and Chippewa County War Memorial Hospital as presented. On a voice vote, the motion was carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, supported by Commissioner Egan. Is there a discussion on it? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Also held a discussion on Veterans Medical Services with Mr. Kalchak, and he told us that War Memorial is working diligently to educate local veterans, is going to in fact work with the county Veterans Office, and and try to educate. And we also, obviously, we talked about sending some mailings out, even putting something on tax bills that, hey, if you're a veteran, here's a number to call, make sure that you're getting your services. Talked about PC3 and choice. So hopefully this will move forward. We then discussed the child care budget summary from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. Its total expenditures of $614,000 plus. It was moved then by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Egan, to approve the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services budget summary of the total expenditures of $614,108.27 for the period of October 1st, 2015 through September 30th, 2016. On a voice vote, that motion carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, supported by Commissioner McLean. Is there discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Next, we discussed the health coverage renewal from 44 North for 2016. Again, long story short, only a 5.8% increase in costs. We feel that's very acceptable, and especially compared to the national averages, which are about double. Consequently, we moved to go ahead and accept this, moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Egan, to approve the Chippewa County January 2016 renewal for healthcare through 44 North at an aggregate increase of 5.79% for the January 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2016 period. On a voice vote, that motion carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, supported by Commissioner Egan, that we renew health insurance. Is there discussion on the motion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Next, we have storm drain repair, and this, we're looking at $8,000 because we haven't. They did a camera inspection, and the pipe is crushed in there. We're looking at a little over $8,000 plus about $90 per foot. Worst case scenario is going to be $14,000. That money, though, will come from the annex sale. Correct me if I'm wrong here, instead of from the general fund, correct? Therefore, it was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Shackleton, to approve the quote from Albert Heating and Cooling in the amount of $7,825 plus an additional $88 per foot if necessary, with the repairs to be paid from Fund 226. On a voice vote, that motion carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, supported by Commissioner McLean. Is there discussion on that?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this one, and something makes me uncomfortable about this. I don't know if it's that it's a heating and cooling that gave us this bid and doesn't know anything about excavating, but I have a feeling it's gonna end up near that $14,000 number real quick, and it bothers me that it was kinda left open-ended like that, especially with the way they bid it. So I just wanted to make myself clear on that.
Anyone else?
We could.
Well, somewhere down the line there, they're gonna have to, put that drain someplace else, because they've got it run inside of a pillar.
Yeah.
There's, heat tape's got a life expectancy, unless you're gonna have somebody go out there and test that every 6 months. This is gonna be a reoccurring problem. I don't know why you would run a drain down the inside of a stone pillar. It's probably not that warm in there, I don't imagine.
Well, and just to make sure that nobody gets the wrong impression, we did check with a couple other contractors. And I think
Just a little bit.
one of them said, man, you ought to take that offer from Albert, because that's a pretty good deal, so.
I just don't think it's the 7,000 number. I think it's actually the 14,000 number that we're looking at, and
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to make sure that I was clear about.
Let's hope it's not.
Well, we can make sure that we have people keep an eye on what's going on.
One of the things too, you know, you start bumping up against this time of year is you gotta get these things done before it's
Before
too late.
frost.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
And it's
I'm not disagreeing, and
Yeah.
it needs
I
to
mean,
be done, and it
We've-
needs to be done correctly. I just,
Right.
when you're working with soils and you're not used to working with soils, it's hard to give an accurate estimate.
Does anybody know how many more of them we have run down, pillars? How many drains we have up there that's gonna, the heat tape's gonna quit working and they're gonna freeze and bust?
See, the issue, you know, isn't with the pipe running through the pillar. It's where it hits the ground and then runs underground. That's where the issue is. I don't know if we have, how many more we have. It doesn't sound like a good idea, but we haven't had any problem with the pillars yet. Now, that was, what edition? Was that the first edition or the second edition to the jail? First edition, wasn't it?
Second.
Second edition? Okay.
Bobby's, either Bobby flashed the peace sign or said two. I'm not sure.
I'm gonna go with 2.
But, you know, and the second edition hasn't been completed that long ago, 6 years, 7 years, because I was a new commissioner when we finished that one up. You know, and putting a drain pipe through a pillar, that's not something that any of us would have caught. We have to depend upon the engineers to do that, and hopefully we don't run into any problem, but the problem at this point is underground, not in the pillar.
And that should have been caught because frost is being driven down into it, and this is gonna be a problem again.
We'll see. Okay, so we have a motion
Kelly,
before
hold
us.
on. Kelly's got a comment.
Kelly?
That pipe did not have the heat tape before, just so everybody's clear. The heat tape was just added, you guys approved that in about May, and that's how this crushed pipe got found.
Okay.
So it might not be a continuing problem 2 or 3 years from now, because we are adding the heat tape. That's how everything got found.
Okay.
So the original engineering and project did not have heat tape.
Correct.
So, all right. We do have a motion before us. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
If you're opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Next, the committee reviewed proposals from Amalgam LLC to develop parcel data for Chippewa County, as well as notes from prior meeting on August 12, 2015, regarding a GIS system countywide, digital parcel mapping, including distances and dimensions, at $5.25 per parcel with 27,000 plus parcels. We're looking at a cost of $143,787 to be paid from the county's fund balance. And while it is a large sum of money, we feel this is a very important investment in our infrastructure to help us attract more businesses and more tech industry here. It levels the playing field. Consequently, it was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Egan, to approve the proposal from Amalgam LLC to map all parcels in Chippewa County, resulting in a seamless parcel layer for use in GIS or equalization software. Final costs are estimated $143,787, but are dependent on the total number of parcels mapped. On a voice vote, that motion carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, supported by Commissioner McLean. Is there discussion?
Just to mention that this is a system that's up and running. This company developed a system that's up and running in Mackinac County, and from my understanding, they're very happy with the results.
Any other discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Next was the Simplex rental quote, 4 new cameras. We had a price of just under $10,000, which was budgeted. The purchasing policy could not be used since Simplex Grinnell has proprietary system. In other words, we'd have to redo the whole system, so this was by far the best move financially for us. Consequently, Commissioner McLean moved and was supported by Commissioner Egan to approve the purchase of 4 new cameras for the Chippewa County Jail at a price of $9,680 from Simplex Grinnell. No additional quotes necessary due to the propriety of the system. On a voice vote, that motion carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, supported by Commissioner Johnson. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Next, the committee received and reviewed a letter from Treasurer Hank with regards to the following policy, to the policy 314, which established an annual transfer from delinquent tax revolving fund to the retirement health care fund. The annual transfer of 2015 is for $757,375.29, plus an additional budget expenditure of $50,000 from the general fund. We had a lengthy discussion of it, and after that discussion, which I'm sure we will rehash here shortly, was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Egan, to approve the transfer of OPEB Healthcare Retirement Fund as presented with $757,375.29 from the delinquent tax revolving fund, with an additional $50,000 from the general fund. On a voice vote, that motion carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Okay, there is a motion made and supported. Is there discussion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The- Once again, the more I think about this, the more I think that the 757,000 and change that is being put in by the revolving fund is enough. I think that $50,000 is going to be needed in other places. So it would be my recommendation that we pull it from this year's budget and from next year's.
Is that a motion?
I would,
Go ahead.
could I
Yeah, please.
discuss on?
Go ahead,
Yeah.
go ahead, go ahead.
This, okay. And I thought long and hard on this too, and I think it's very important on something like this to front load it as much as possible, so that you're earning interest on your interest and everything's compounded, and that's going to help us down the road. That being said, I would certainly be in favor of pulling $50,000 from next year's budget and the next year's budget. Move forward with this as written this time, and then because we're going to start meeting pretty soon here, aren't we? A couple
Yes,
weeks for next
yes.
year.
Yep.
I would pull it the next 2 years, but do it this year because that $50,000 over the next 10 or 20 years is going to grow and grow and grow and grow. But that's something that I guess we all have to kind of hash.
And I would normally agree with you, but the number that's going in there is rather large this year and maybe smaller next year. I think with the large number that it is right now, that it's not actually taking that much away, and I desperately think that $50,000 could be used in more useful ways this year. I think the numbers that we're going to see next week are going to speak for themselves.
I'd note that Kelly and Chuck, correct me if I'm mistaken, but are recommending that we keep it in the general fund. Is that right?
Chuck doesn't know that I've said that.
Okay. Kelly at least is recommending in discussion, and Jim probably the same, I'm thinking.
Yes.
And I think one of the things to take note of is we're getting much fewer federal prisoners than we had budgeted and expected this year. Frankly, the federal government is probably not detaining illegals like they used to and putting them in our jail. And consequently, the revenue is falling far short. So that causes our budget a problem because the jail numbers had certain assumptions of how many federal prisoners we were going to have, and we're not hitting them. So this is a small 50,000 can certainly help cover that shortage of revenue. So I think looking at the problem with this year's budget and the challenges with next year's budget, I think it's a good idea. And I just want to make sure nobody thinks that we're shortchanging this healthcare retirement fund. My goodness, we're putting in $750,000. And we're putting in, and it's already got $4 million in it. So we are doing a good job funding it, and we need to continue doing a good job funding it.
And
Go ahead, Commissioner, you haven't had a chance to speak yet, Commissioner McLean.
Well, the previous commissions have tried to fund this and add money to it, and I think to the tune of about $200,000 a year. But it came out of the general fund and, to finance it. It was the best we could do at that point. When the decision was made last year in agreement with the treasurer to take it out of the DTRF, we were able to get it up to the $757,000. And that is a big improvement because sometimes we weren't even able to put in the $200,000 because of budget restrictions. So this is a good chunk of money, and I think that it moves us in the right direction. Be nice if we could just snap our fingers and say,
Funded.
take care of it right now. That's not possible, but this here is a good move, and like everybody's saying, we have numbers of places where the $50,000 could benefit.
And I want to make clear that in no way am I trying to shortchange those who benefit from funding this retirement, but I want to make sure that we have enough money to.
Well, we are funding it
We are funding it, but I also want to make sure we have enough money in the budget that they're not going to take a hit now and down the road.
Yeah.
that's an important part of what we're doing here, is making sure that we can continue to do business the way it needs to be done.
I'd make the motion that we, keep the 50,000 and discuss putting more into it at a later date.
We have a motion before us, which was the original motion. An appropriate motion to accomplish what you want to do is to move to amend the motion to withdraw the $50,000 contribution from the general fund from the original motion.
That too.
Gets a little complicated, but we have a motion before us. We have to deal with it. So,
A little complicated is
okay.
an
Motion made
understatement, sir.
by Commissioner Johnson, supported by Commissioner McLean, to amend the motion before us by taking the $50,000 contribution from the general fund out of the contribution to the healthcare retirement fund. Does everybody understand what we're doing? That motion will amend the motion. If it passes, then we'll vote on the original motion as amended. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. So now we have a motion before us, which is to put the $757,000 from the DTRF, invest that into the healthcare retirement fund. That motion is ready to be voted on or discussed. Is there any further discussion?
When
Go ahead.
we do this next year, will we have any idea of what that number will be next? The 757, 375. We'll have no idea.
It should be a little over $500,000. I mean, it should be.
If things continue.
We could also ask Chuck perhaps, or Kelly, or whomever, to do a new assumption sheet based on the way the contributions are going, and you know, again, it's based on a guess of what the market will do, whether the market's gonna earn you 5% or 7% or 10%, but, you know, we could do an updated assumption sheet.
Because
You also have to assume what the rates are gonna be for the retiree healthcare.
Right. That's a wild card.
There are many assumptions.
Right.
yeah. And didn't we just switch our investment portfolio a little bit?
Not yet, we're gonna,
Was
that's
that, I
coming
mean,
up.
that was. I mean, we talked about that at the last one that
Yeah,
we're gonna.
that's,
So we have another unknown then, in that how that may work if that is approved.
yeah.
Then that'll be
Well,
another.
those are all, you know, those are all good investments. I think switching from one investment fund to the other could potentially change a few percent here and there, but, you know, none of them are drastic, you know.
Either way.
We're just trying to maximize the growth possibility there.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we do have that motion before us. And again, to restate the motion, is that the $757,000 and some odd dollars from the DTRF be invested in the healthcare retirement fund. Everybody ready for the vote on that? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Okay. The committee then reviewed requested bid for replacing the System 8 in the original finance packet with a System 7 Plus. It was included in the addendum as the 7 Plus will be more economical for the county. And consequently, we were all in favor of that. Therefore, it was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Shackleton, to release the request for bids for the IBM Power System 7 Plus to be paid out of Fund 226, and to establish a debt service fund for information technology. On a voice vote, the motion carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, supported by Commissioner Johnson, that we go out for bids for a IBM Power System 7 Plus. Any discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
We then reviewed a letter from Sheriff Savoy, and I had discussion with him about community correction proposal and funding that as long as we could, as the state has cut back on that funding. There was a long list of people who provided services. It's something the community likes. I know it's something we love seeing those guys up there on the ski hill and on the William Lynn trails, keeping that clean for us. Therefore, it was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Shackleton, to continue the community service program via the tether revenues. On a voice vote, that motion carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, supported by Commissioner Egan. Is there any discussion on that? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Committee then received and reviewed minutes of the investment committee from October 8th, 2015. After receiving additional MERS information, they decided to recommend that Chippewa County Board of Commissioners change the investment of the retiree healthcare portfolio vehicle to 50% in each the MERS total market portfolio and 50% in the MERS capital appreciation portfolio. We discussed it and decided that we thought this would bring in more revenue. Therefore, it was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Johnson, to approve the retiree health funding vehicle investment report as presented with 50% in each the MERS total market portfolio and the MERS capital appreciation portfolio affecting both future contributions with current account balances, and on a voice vote, that motion carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, supported by Commissioner McLean. Is there discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Small cities grant was next. We wanted to submit an application for a new CDBG program. The new monies will be utilized in the targeting area already established by the board, program income funds that are available from the grant. Hopefully it'll finish off a couple of requests that were not able to be extended at the end of the prior grant. Also, it was noted that future early payoffs of homeowner loans will no longer go directly back into the grant, but will now be going directly to MSHDA. It was moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Johnson, to approve the application process for a new CDBG program grant through MSHDA, with the grant serving the target area for which is Sault Ste. Marie. On a voice vote, that motion carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, supported by Commissioner Johnson. Is there discussion? Commissioner McLean?
I just want to mention that Rudy and I are on the Small Cities Committee. This is a complicated process, but previous to this, you know, we loaned out money to have repairs done. If people sold the property, that type of thing, they had to repay the loan, and that money went to the county, okay? And the county kept a fund, and we were able to use that money through community action to fund housing improvements or necessary repairs for people to improve the quality of life. The state has this year decided in their infinite wisdom that instead of us holding that money at the county level and using it at our own discretion, that the money now has to go to the state. And if we want to use it, we have to make application to the state to get the money back. They also said, because of this application process, that it can only be used in the targeted area, which is Sault Ste. Marie. Now, we have a large population in Sault Ste. Marie, but there's also people in the out county area that have needs. They will not be able to receive the benefit of that through this change. And I think it's a real travesty as to the way that the program was originally written and intended, and the way it's been now manipulated to move money from the local area
To the state.
downstate. And it's just very disappointing, in my opinion.
So much for local control.
Any further discussion?
We have local control.
Well, apparently.
Not.
We do have a
I think
motion.
that's why we're here anyway.
We do have a motion before us. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
We then reviewed bills and payroll, moved by Commissioner Shackleton, supported by Commissioner McLean, to recommend the approval of August bills and payroll as follows. General claims totaling $167,845.79. Other fund claims of $126,571.98. Payroll of $469,176.60. Health Department claims of $498,919.93. And total claims of $1,262,514.30. And vouchers H1 through H246. On a voice vote, the motion carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, supported by Commissioner Egan, that we pay all the claims and claims and whatever they are. Fund
And the bills.
claims and vouchers, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Then, committee reviewed a budget amendment for $1,000 for family support coordinator, which would be 100% reimbursed to the county. Moved by Commissioner Shackleton, supported by Commissioner McLean, to approve that $1,000 budget amendment for family support coordinator, which is 100% reimbursable through the CRP contract as presented. On a voice vote, that motion carried, and I would so move.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, supported by Commissioner McLean. Is there discussion?
Why can't more be like this?
Yeah. Because it's only $1,000.
Oh.
So if you get any big money, you don't get to keep it or get reimbursed. Any further discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Committee received and reviewed resolution 15-23, we moved that to 2-4.
2-4.
We've done that.
Yeah, we already did it. We already
Okay,
voted
did
on it
that.
anyway.
So then, okay, so we did that. So moved by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Johnson to adjourn the meeting, so we did. And I would so move.
Mhm.
What? I would so
Sorry.
move that we accept the minutes.
I knew what you meant.
Thank you.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Martin, supported by Commissioner Egan, that the minutes of the Finance Claims and Account Committee meeting of October 8th, 2015 be accepted. Is there discussion on that motion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. That completes our standing committee reports. We move to two more items on our agenda. One is Commissioner report on meetings as board representative and general comments. Commissioner McLean.
I want to report briefly on the MAC conference that I attended in Traverse City on September 21st and 22nd. I attended a number of training and information sessions, a couple that were of interest, that should be of interest to us as a county commission. There was meetings on the mandates, Headley, and fiscal notes relative to county financing in the state. There's some issues there that we need to deal with of more particular importance. There was a meeting, or a training session on pre-trial risk assessments. And this is something that's in place in a number of counties downstate. It's a process of when somebody is charged with a crime, there's an assessment done, and I don't know whether we do it here in Chippewa County or not. We do an assessment, risk assessment. It's presented to the judge, and the judge can then make more informed decisions relative to the process that's involved and things that may be done, so that we end up with fewer people in jail, reduces court times and stuff like this, and there will be better decisions made relative to justice. One of the things about that is being spearheaded by NACO, National Association of Counties, and that's something that we'll talk about further in later meetings. Another one was a program called Stepping Up. This is for reducing mental and co-occurring substance abuse disorders in jail. The housing of various people who have mental and drug abuse problems in jail. This is a program to address some of that and reduce that problem. And they not only end up in jail, they end up in prison. And so that's a program that I think we need to investigate. And again, that's being spearheaded by NACO. And I think that Connor, you had expressed some interest in that.
Yes.
And I'll give you some information relative to how to get more information on that. Okay, then there was another meeting that I went to. It was called Building a Rural Economy. It focused on tourism. There was a particular interest was a lady that made one of the presentations. It was a Dr. Sarah Nichols from Michigan State University. She heads up and spearheaded the Michigan Tourism Strategic Plan. So she's got quite a bit of sway. I took the opportunity after the meeting to present, and I'll share this with some of the commissioners later on, a plan that we developed for increasing foreign tourism in the eastern UP. And I gave her I always carry one of these copies around with me because I helped develop this plan, and shared it with her, and she was quite excited about it, and we may finally get some movement in that direction. And but those were 4 of the meetings that I went to. It's sort of an indication as what you'll be, not on the grand scale at the Island Resort and Casino in November. We focused mainly on UP activities at that point, but these were very, very good sessions. And I just wanted to mention that I think that it was worthwhile and a good expenditure of the county money.
Anyone else? We could move to the last item on the agenda if you choose.
Also move the adjournment.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Johnson, that this meeting be adjourned. Any discussion on the motion? Whoa. All in favor,
Hurt
vote
yourself?
aye. You know,
Aye.
That's the first time I've ever done that.
Gavel's
Stop the
exciting.
gavel. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.